we would like to invite the chairpersons, Dr. Meenal Harde, who's the professor at TNMC Mumbai, and Dr. Rajshri MB, who's the general physician Bangalore, EC member of FPAB and secretary of the Leaders Association IMA Bangalore. Lady, yeah, yes. We welcome you on stage, chairpersons. I think we can give them a big round of applause.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah.
Very good morning, everyone. I would like to, it is an honor to welcome Dr. Nandini Chatterjee, who is a professor of medicine at a prestigious institute at Kolkata. And she has many accolades to her name. And she's a very apt person for a talk on publication, as she has numerous publications in national and international journal and a book to her credit. Welcome, Dr. Nandini.
Thank you very much, and a very good morning to all. So, I'm grateful to Dr. Srinivas Murthy for inviting me here, and he has given me a topic which is close to my heart, and I'm dealing with these things day in and day out. So let us have a short look at what should be the best practices in publication. Now, in these days of evidence-based medicine, our lives are totally intertwined with getting new information every day, and we should know that all the information that is available to us may not be very accurate or integral to science. Also, publication is to be started at every level of our students, faculty, and we know why we publish. It is not just to add to scientific knowledge and wisdom, but it also makes us better. It helps us to review and interpret our own work, and it gives us recognition, career advancement, and may give further opportunities in the future. However, before embarking on publishing anything, we should have a clear idea about the norms and guidelines that are available and that we should abide to. There are also a different set of publication ethics which are often not followed in real life, but we should try to adhere to it in our day-to-day work. So what are the best practices for publication? So this is a busy slide, but basically it is summing up all the aspects that I will be dealing with in the next 15 to 20 minutes. So the first job when you are thinking of publishing anything is to select the right journal, because different types of publications are suitable for different types of journals, and there are ways of selecting that. We have to follow guidelines. There are definite guidelines for different types of publications, and unless those guidelines are followed, there is a high chance of the article getting rejected. One has to obviously properly prepare the manuscript, ensure that all the authors are contributing significantly, and we should ensure research integrity by adhering to ethical standards. Once the manuscript is ready, we need to submit it along with a compelling cover letter. There are certain checklists for ensuring that manuscript along with all other necessary documents are given during submission. After submission comes the process of peer review, and also there are ways of dealing with reviewer comments and queries. Then, if your article is good enough, then the journal is going to accept it and there also lies certain responsibilities after acceptance. However, it may so happen, and it has happened to all of us, that your article may be rejected. Even if it is rejected, that is not the end of the world, and we may try to better that article, and have our responsibility is to make it better and send it to some other journal. So let us have a look at how we go into pre-submission, after submission, and after acceptance or rejection. So how do we evaluate a journal when we are deciding to submit our work in a particular journal? We first need to find what is the scope and aim of the journal. We need to go to the home page of that particular journal site and read what scope the journal offers. Then we need to regard whether the journal is reputed, what is the editorial board composed of, is there a proper peer review system or not, is it indexed? Very important, because if you are wanting to enumerate or cite this that you have published in so and so journal, so it better be an index journal, otherwise the value will not be given. Impact factor, of course, for seasoned people who have published many articles, impact factor becomes a major thing where you want to publish in reputed high impact factor journals. But please remember that journals who have high impact factor also have a very high rejection ratio as well. Journal operations also should be known to you, because if a journal has a very late turnaround time, then you may be not willing to send to that journal. So match the scope of the journal with your research topic, check indexing. Now our NMC, it accepts PubMed, Scopus, DOAJ, Embase and Web of Science as the indexing agencies that are accepted for promotional purposes. You can review the readership of the journal and the impact factor and avoid predatory journals. So predatory journals, what are they? They are journals who would invite articles from you and promise rapid publication. However, if you go deeper into the information about the journal, you may find that do not have clear policies on retraction, plagiarism. There may be contact email addresses which are not journal related or professional enough. There will be nominal processing fees, and manuscripts are requested to be submitted via email, not on an online portal. So these are some indications that that journal may not be a very proper or reputed journal. So we must avoid publishing in those. The next important thing is follow the guidelines. If you go to the Equator Network, it is called the nest of all the guidelines. So you will get definite reporting guidelines for each type of article. Like for observational studies, we have the STROBE guideline. For randomized control trials, we have the CONSORT guidelines, so on and so forth. If you want to publish a case report, then you go to the CARE guidelines. Here, there are definite directions in which step by step you can write your article. Read the instruction to the authors. I believe this slide is one of the most important slide that is coming. Why? Because every journal in its website, in its homepage, will have definite instructions to the author. And if the author does not follow the instructions given by that particular journal, then this article will be having a desk reject. What is a desk reject? Means it will not go to the reviewer at all. If you have made any technical errors which were given in the instructions, then immediately your article will be sent back. So These instructions will tell you what to put in the title page, what should be the text section looking like, what is the word limit, what is the font, what is the number of tables and figures that you are allowed to put in that article, and what is the citation method. So when we are receiving articles in the JAPI, so we often find articles which have far exceeded the word limit, and maybe they have put in 10 figures and 10 tables. So immediately before going to the reviewer, we will send back that article saying that please make it brief, please decrease the number of figures and tables. So it is good practice to give the most relevant, most important tables. It is not that whatever we wish to put, we are putting in one article. Because one must remember that every journal has a sort of a page limit for one issue. So in one issue, if there are 80 pages in that journal will not accept an article which goes on into 35 pages. Why have I written the word firstly in this slide? It is because before you start to write, you have to read. Unless the author has read a number of articles of similar types, he or she will not have a proper idea of how to go about this. So take the time to read a selection of articles which are already published in the journal in which you are sending, and particularly focus on those articles that are relevant to your own research. So you can get an idea how the predecessors have actually published their articles. Then when you prepare your manuscript, you have to write about your study design, what methodology you have followed, and when you are writing that, again I repeat, you must follow the guidelines for your different types of research work. The IMRAD structure is the basic structure how original articles are written. What is IMRAD? It is introduction, methodology, result, and discussion. So first you give an appropriate title followed by a structured abstract which may be within 250 to 300 words, and after that you will divide your manuscript into these 4 sections. Statistical rigor, well yes, most reputed journals have a separate statistical reviewer. So if you have botched up the statistics, your article will not be published. In the results and discussion, it should be concise. You have to summarize the key results. It is not that one has to write everything that has come out in the course of the study. We need to know which of the results are needed for projection, because again, we have to stick to the word limit. So we have to summarize the key results, compare with other studies. Does your study refute the other studies, or is your study concurring with the results of the other studies? This is the matter that makes up discussion. You may mention any unexpected finding or any regional speciality. This is very important. Suppose a study has been done in the southern part of the country, and another study on the same subject has been done maybe in the northeastern part of the country. So these two people, these two groups of population are different in some ways. So if your article contains some specialities of your region, it is definitely getting more points for publication. Of course, not to forget to write about the limitations of your study, because often there will be limitations and it is necessary to point them out. For concluding your article, it must be concise, and you again restate your results. You may comment on the significance of the study and future directions in the domain. To summarize, read articles, discuss with other authors, avoid long phrases, use simple words, avoid repetition, respect word limit, check your grammar and spelling, we have softwares for that, compare with other studies, and do not be afraid to publish negative results. So now you have completed writing your manuscript, you need to submit. So when you are submitting, you must craft an effective cover letter, which is the first impression the editor has about your manuscript. Another thing, you give an idea about your manuscript, but also affirm that this manuscript has not been published elsewhere, because that is gross misconduct. If your article has been published elsewhere, it means that is the end. You will not publish it somewhere else. You will have to write that. And another thing some people do is that send the article to multiple journals at the same time. That is also not allowed. One journal will either reject it, then you send to another, or you withdraw your article from one journal and send it to another. So now a few slides about publication ethics. First and foremost is the ethical oversight of your research. So the studies, nowadays, whatever study you are doing has to be getting an approval from the relevant ethics committee. And when you are sending it to the journal, they will ask you for the certificate or the clearance from those ethical committees. If you are doing a clinical trial, then it has to be registered in the clinical trial registry. You have to maintain data confidentiality and avoid misconduct. How much time is left? Okay. Okay. Next, authorship. Authorship is another very important aspect of publication, and it has definite criteria which has been laid down by the International Committee of Medical Journal Editors. Transparency and disclosure, where you disclose all funding sources, potential conflicts of interest, and inform consent from your human subjects. And lastly, last but not the least, is ensure that your work is original and do not go into redundant or duplicate publications. So this is just a repetition of what I have said. Ethics committee approval from a registered ethics committee is mandatory. So any ethics committee will not do. That ethics committee also has to be a registered ethics committee. Number 2 is clinical trial publication needs registration of the clinical trials in a public trial registry. Number 3, authorship. We often find in real life that an article has a byline where 8, 9 names are written. It is often the fact that of those 8 or 9 names, maybe 4 or 5 people have actually worked for that research. Others are gifted authors. But this is not under publication ethics. What does it say? That an author should have substantial contribution to the conception, design, analysis, interpretation of data. They should have contribution in drafting the content or revising it. They should give final approval of the version to be published, and they should be accountable for all aspects of the work. Many journals will limit the number of authors. So you have to abide by that. If they say you cannot give more than 5 names, you have to do that. The order of authorship is also very important. Who is the first author? Who is second? Who is third? So this has to be a joint decision. You have to decide among yourselves and then send it to the journal. Who is the corresponding author? He is the person, he or she, who will continuously communicate with the journal for all documents, answering the queries, and the full publication process. The people who are not authors but have helped in any other way can be acknowledged. Disclosures, as I said, funding sources need to be disclosed. Conflict of interest. Conflict of interest is if the authors in some way have received consulting fees or support for travel or fees for participation, it is said that it should be disclosed. Other thing that has to be signed is the copyright transfer form. It is mandatory when you are submitting your article that you put the copyright signature on behalf of all authors to transfer the copyright ownership to the professional body behind the journal. Next comes the issue of plagiarism, which is rampant nowadays.
Time is up, ma'am.
Time is up. Okay, so we all know about plagiarism and we all know that there are softwares to know what is the percentage of plagiarism. Most journals will allow up to 10 to 15% of the plagiarism. Fate after submission, it can be accepted, it can be rejected, or it can be revised. So the peer review process will give you queries which you have to meticulously answer in a polite and professional way. Finally, check every document when the article has been accepted. I will quickly go through 2 slides more. Sometimes your article may be rejected for whatever reasons, but you need not be disheartened. Read the reviewer comment, make appropriate revisions, rethink the choice of journal, and resubmit. So to summarize, target journals which match the scope of your work, write clearly using simple language, strictly adhere to the guidelines of the journal, maintain research integrity and transparency, and lastly, patience and perseverance are the 2 most important qualities of a good researcher. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nandini. That was a fantastic coverage in such a short time about the best practices in publications. Yeah, may we have a question for the time?
Excellent. I congratulate you. Yeah, and also Dr. Srinivas Murthy for selecting this topic. We have enough data in India, as we all accept, and this will go in a long way. My simple question is, if there is any observational data which is being published anywhere, do we need informed consent? Just an observation.
No, for that observation, it is with human subjects, and that observation must be involving some investigation report or some clinical finding of a particular patient. So, of course, you have to take some consent, and that should be an informed consent.
Okay. If it is a collective thing from a particular body.
Only if, suppose it's a pandemic like COVID, or the person has died, or it is a retrospective observation. In those special situations, it may be waived, but that too you have to write to your ethics committee and take permission.
Thank you, madam.
So, congratulations and thank you, madam. It was actually very good deliberation. I learned a lot about this. I've got a question. I am into mock consultation. There is a tool, Conversation AI Lee, where there is mock consultation, transcripts are. I'm not talking to a patient. I'm given some, in artificial intelligence, I'm given some questions. And I'm dealing with patients, mock consultation, how my empathy score is there, how my conversation with a patient is there. This tool does this. So these are going to be published, presented in ATTD Barcelona next month, as well as ADA also. So 3-4 papers are going to be presented. So now my question is, if these are going to be, if I want to write a paper, do I have to take an IEC? Because they are not the patients. These are mock consultation. They are the questions. A person comes with so much of diabetes, so many years, this. How I am approaching that patient?
No, when you start, I'm asking you, when you started on this endeavor, when you thought about it, so did you not write a study proposal and you just started it on your own?
No, I got it because I am associated with one tech company, Sigma Mosaic.
So
they are doing it and
So-
they are sending me the questions. Not me only, Dr. Virmani is there, Dr. Amit Dey is there.
Okay.
Amit Dey is also there.
Okay. So these are not dealing with any human subjects?
No.
Okay.
Humans, yeah, not human subjects. Some mock consultation, only mock consultation.
So that is not a study then?
Okay.
That is not a study. You are writing an article on certain mock cases
Yes,
and you
these are
will
not
you're
trials,
So
yes.
this is not a proper study in that case. Whenever it is involving a human subject with whom you are interacting or even an animal subject, you need the ethics proposal.
this
But
we-
if you are making up a questionnaire and you are answering via AI, then only you have to declare at the beginning of that
that we are doing.
presentation a declaration that you have used so and so tool to do this, that you have to declare.
That's what we are doing. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
If allowed, one more question. The financial disclosure you have asked for the last 36 months. Now we are in the advisory board of so many things. If you are writing paper, that is also to be declared, or it is related to that particular subject which you are writing.
No, particular subject.
Particular
yes,
subject.
yes. If
That
it
is how
is
I
that
declare.
particular, you may be in 10 advisory
Yes.
boards, but
Yeah.
you don't need to declare everything.
Oh,
Only
so that is related to that particular-
that related to that study, if you are
Right.
added to that, then you have to disclose.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So just a take home from Dr. Nandini's is that our publication is going to be there forever on the internet with your name associated. So it is a very big responsibility and adhere the ethics. I mean, it is of paramount importance to adhere to ethics and integrity. Thank you very much and thank you, Dr.
Thank you,
Nandini.
Dr. Nandini.
Thank you very much, the chairpersons and the speaker. We request you to move to the selfie area. Yes, ma'am. Which is just right outside the hall.